everyone. Welcome to another episode of Chuchigatari. That's not called that anymore. I forgot. Well, whatever. You know how it is. Unlimited Railworks, video game Chuchu's anime podcast. I'm your host, Rose. It is the week of July 6th as of recording. If you're listening to this not on the Patreon, it's probably a little later than that. But, you know, whatever. It's July. First week of July. Summer anime season has started. We're not going to talk too much about that until later. But, with me as always is John.
Hello, everybody. I am ready to cross the finish line for the spring anime and get ready for the race that is the summer anime, and also talk about the movies.
Oh, the movies. Yeah. Elvie, how are you feeling about the movies?
The movies? The moving pictures?
The movies. Yeah, the moving pictures. Here they're gonna talk soon.
Oh shit. You're right. That's very scary. The future is very scary. Movies. We were talking about a movie today. Pretty excited to talk about this movie, I'll say. Pretty good. That's a spoiler of what I'm gonna say. That's it.
Oh my god, how could you just give it away in the first minute? They can stop listening now.
That's it. They're gonna oh. Sorry.
It's okay. And fresh and clean Maverick is here also.
Squeaky Queen.
I don't know if that's
I don't know
a bad way to refer to
What, refer to getting fucking rained on?
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking more. You said, you said you were getting ready before the podcast. You had to escape. I don't know.
No,
I had to try to come up with some fun bit.
I definitely was racing to get to the podcast tonight. So,
oh, there you go. The podcast is here. Anyways. My bad transitions aside, we are going to talk about Redline today. 2009's film that was it was in development for like 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, so it was going to be a much older movie. It was going to be a 2000s movie. Then it just started going way into the start of the late.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2007?
No, it was
actually?
2009.
Was it? No, it was 2009?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm being lied to by IMDb.
Yeah,
That's all.
8-year production, and it was almost going to be a 2002 movie. That's kind of crazy. Very different.
That's
time.
Crazy to think about. That's also very ambitious on their part, I have to say, for a completely hand-drawn film like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is directed by Takeshi Koike. It was done by Madhouse, and let me tell you, they really are a madhouse to make a movie like this. It's about racing, in space, if you can believe that. A little crazy, I know. You have to stretch your imagination to fully believe the idea of racing, but in space, that is. It's all about Sweet JP in the yellow line race at the beginning, and then, gets into the red line, the titular red line, and who knows what happens from there. This was picked by Maverick, so I figured I'd let you lead the conversation if you'd like about what your thoughts are on rewatching Redline in 2021.
Oh my god, to rewatch Redline in 2021 is... God, this is just comfort food. Like, it is unabashedly comfort food for me. Like, the first time that I had watched Redline, it was one of those scenarios where it's like, by the end of it, I was literally just, like, in tears because of how much, like, adrenaline, excitement, and just, like, euphoria was coming, like, out of just a lot of this passion project. It is hard for me to not, like, compare this movie to the Wachowskis' Speed Racer movie, One, because
Of
they
course,
are
yeah.
they are both movies about film, and the way that you ultimately supersede the expectations of the people that have come before you in order to deliver something that cannot be matched and just leaves everybody wanting more. Like, very simple allegories in terms of what they represent, but at the same time, it's just so filled with, like, fun and amazement. And the most recent watching of this, it just is like, it is an hour and 40 some minutes of not a lot actually happening in terms of action. So, like, you have the initial red line or yellow line race, which is the first 15 minutes, and I could just watch those 15 minutes alone. It is such a, like, whenever I feel really down on myself, I will just pick that up. And I am someone that very much is a fan of the English dub. This is definitely one of those cases where I feel that I can only watch the English dub of Redline because it is so to the core of what the film is talking about and what it's like coming to in terms of its themes and characterization. And more often than not, that's easier when you do have a lot of like rockabilly, rockabilly aesthetics, US focused aesthetics, and rather than try and like shoehorn a Japanese aesthetic in there, you instead just decentralize the focus so that it makes sense. It's what makes bebop work. It's what makes like Space Dandy and a lot of these other sci-fi things work, that you just decentralize the focus of nation. And here it really is just a case of people that want to race, wanting to just do the thing that drives them. And, you know, again, you have that initial moment of getting that race in, and then the rest of the movie is just getting to know everybody that's here. And on one hand, it can feel slow, but on the other hand, like, the other thing that gets to me about Redline is that it is the antithesis to a Marvel movie. It is the antithesis to the MCU, and that you have so many moving parts, so many theories and concepts and character backgrounds that you will never know anything else about. But you were there in the moment. Like, it is awesome to see fucking Little Daisuna go just full on, like, just full on of a wreck for Trava, because you don't know if he was in the army before. You don't know if he, like, what their history is, but you just see that unravel in terms of like someone that doesn't really care about their post and just deserts that to come join this fucking race. Like, it is a celebration of madness, and I really appreciate just everything that goes into it to just show that these are a whole subset of freaks who may or may not be a part of a entire government like plot to take down Robo World, but you never really get into that until you start to think about it. But just I love to live in the world of Redline. I love to be in the music of Redline. I can't, whenever I have to think about it, I just my face lights up. And even on a night like this where it's like very stressful to get everything together, as soon as I'm just thinking about as soon as I'm thinking about that moment where Sweet JP is just like, don't underestimate me because you don't know a damn thing about racing, and he just hits his fucking like O2 like he's fucking Vin Diesel. It's it melts away. It melts away.
Something that you mentioned that I really love was when Little Daizuna just like drops into the race. They just accept it, you know.
Yeah.
Like getting into the red line is treated as this big thing, like you have to win all these, you know. But you know, this guy just drops in, starts racing against these other people that he has beef with, and the announcers are just treating him like every other competitor. It's so good.
Yeah, it's oh god, it is very much a case of just like everybody going along with it, whatever everyone's deal is. And I can't help but be just mesmerized at the idea that you can just be so brazen in the ability to say this is a movie about people, and you will only know about these people in this limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And it rules.
I can agree with that. Yeah. For me, this was my third time watching it, I believe. I watched it when I first got back into anime, like 2013. I think I watched it again in 2017. I watched it now. The thing that does strike me, like you said, is it being about the characters, and ignoring, like, to refer to it as the antithesis of a Marvel film, I think is a very good way of putting it, because there has to be that purpose behind everything, right? There has to be that deeper thing, and it has to be conveyed visually and auditorily. Time has to be used up in this, strict 3-act structure dedicated to explaining everything in a Marvel film, right? Like, that is the nature of it. But here, they don't feel the need to even, I would say, they don't feel the need to have a structure, right? Like, there's not really a 3-act structure to this.
Oh,
it's
God,
more
no.
like, yeah, it's more like there's the opening race, which, like you said, very good on its own, in its own right, could be its own thing.
Yeah.
Could have been an OVA.
And then to actually get a little bit into that, like, there are other pieces of this overall, like, universe of Redline. Like, Takeshi Koike has done stuff with, like, Trava and Shinkai, where, like, they had their own little, like, episode for a pilot that never went anywhere. There is, like, a miniature version of what Redline would be as, like, a very, like, short project that he did early on. I think more as, like, a focus of premise. But yeah, like, this is very much the culmination of all that work prior. Not so much here's some, like, blink and you'll miss it moments, more just like, this is what ultimately I wanted to get towards. But
but yeah, it really sticks out, I think, just through everything, that chaos, that intrinsic chaos, that I think is inherent to any hand drawn anime like that. I think having rewatching Kill la Kill recently, you definitely get that same sort of vibe to an extent of just like this frantic thing. But Redline is so over the top with it, right? Like, they're smearing things everywhere off, like, out of control. Like, character designs are not consistent, which I really appreciate.
oh yeah,
people's like shapes are always changing. It feels like you're never seeing something be repeated. Is a big benefit of it, I think. Like,
yeah,
you think of all the different meals they have, even, and obviously there's not many meals they eat, but every single meal looks completely different. It's like there's no shared parts between them, sort of to reflect that dynamic nature of the cast, right? Like, that they're all completely different people from completely different worlds that you may never know anything about.
Yeah, like, it is very amusing to me that the only, like, confirmed, like, Earthlings are Miki and Todoroki. Like, they are they come straight from Earth, and those are the only two you ever know about. And everyone else, like, to the point that, yeah, it's easy to forget that, like, JP is never really confirmed to be, like, a human. He is his own thing, but, when you put anybody in a pompadour and you just make them, like, cool as hell, you're just so endeared to them. Oh, God, and the way that like, a lot of people ask for anime wacky races. This is the closest that you'll get, I think. Second to, like, Appare Ranman. Those are the two equivalents that you'll get to that. Because, like, God, I love that every racer just has an entirely different aesthetic from one another. Even, like, just... I love that Lynchman and Johnny Boya are legitimate, like, bounty hunters, but they also just sell their shit on DVD because, you gotta make a quick buck in this nondescript capitalist setup.
It was definitely a cheap pop, but as soon as I saw them doing the loop on a run, I was just like, yeah, all right, they know what they're doing. Yes. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, John, do you want to talk more about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this show or this movie, you mentioned Space Dandy before. This reminded me a lot of Space Dandy. And this also made me want to bust my GameCube out to start playing F-Zero GX, because this is also very F-Zero.
Yeah, very F-Zero.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. Just I loved the alien designs too. Just all the different, just like they obviously had a lot of fun designing all these different creatures, all these different interactions that they can have, how all the different environments were like really easily built around them. Like I really loved the design, especially of the of Old Man Mole, the mechanic, just because he's like this four-armed, like crouched over, like crawling guy, and I just really liked seeing how he interacted with all different things. How his arms would interact with things, how his mechanic shop was built around how he maneuvers. I really liked that. I will say the only thing that I think was maybe a little detrimentally undercooked was the whole bit with Frisbee being blackmailed. That was I feel like that could have maybe gone a little bit more in there, because it was a little confusing about like what the stakes were for JP, like winning and losing. But that might just be me, because like wouldn't you? I mean, I know that you're supposed to like bet against someone to make money off of them, but at some point, wouldn't you make more money from him winning if he was the odds were all the way against him? So that was what was a little confusing to me.
So the idea is, I imagine, real-time betting, I think they were saying, basically, is like the idea the odds are shifting constantly, so you get a bigger cut if you end up with like, hey, I'm losing and then I'm winning, and then people start shifting their bets over to them, so then the pool shortens for the people betting on the original winner or the secondary person that they want to win or whatever that they think will win, and then the odds are much higher for that person if he loses at the last second, which is what they want him to do.
Yeah,
right, because it's just like everyone's shifting their bets to him.
Like, it's
sure,
think your Megaloboxes, think your like where it's not trying to fix a race, but in the way where it's like only one party is fixing that race. And so even in the case where it's like, yeah, JP could always there is never a doubt that JP could win, but Frisbee knows that, so that's why he rigs the Trans Am to make sure that things get set up. And
I guess so. I mean, just in every other like piece of media where I've seen someone like fix a match, it has been, you bet against them because they throw the match because they've won previously. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just me. But otherwise, it was just fantastic. I really love how they incorporate the machine world, or the rope. What were they? It was the God, I literally just watched this movie before we started.
Robo-World?
Robo-World,
Oh,
yeah.
And what's his name? The funky boy?
Yeah, I love how they incorporated like a literal war into the race. How it became like this dumb event became a political kerfluffle because of where they just randomly decided to hold the race. It was incredibly funny, incredibly fun, and having multiple bioweapons appear as like race elements was very good.
I mean, you could even argue that is the intent of the Redline, to just be a full-on like autofocus. Like, I'm just remembering now, like after JP is in like the hospital because he fucking beefed it in his car and finds out that he's in the Redline, you get some of like the like basically he gets into the red line because people dropped out. They're like, I'm not about that. And one of the competitors, Kuro Kurodaze, is straight up like, dude, I'm a racer, I'm not a soldier. And it's very funny that they can just like slip that by and without having to like abide by it or just have to like push further. Yeah, you know, like on one hand, this is definitely just a dumb race everyone gets to like watch because it's like fun violence. On the other hand, like you have competitors from like a alien kingdom and a lot of other like setups, and it's one part getting everything set up so that you can monetize off of this race, and then the other part doing everything that you can, either whether you know it or not, to just completely disassemble this like fascist mecha kingdom, which just it rules that by the end of the day it is just another it's a fuck you to fascism in a way that is just so understated.
Yeah, a lot about this movie is not like it's not lingered on. It is a fast-paced movie, I would say, you know, in the grand scheme of things. You know, for especially as it should be, because it is a race. But I do love that they just they don't they expect you to just be like, yeah, you know, you're seeing what's happening. This is how it is, you know, this is how this world is. You are just experiencing this. You are dipping your head into this universe. It is not different, you know, like this is how this is. This is how this universe is. You don't have to worry about all the frivolous details, and I respect that a lot.
All right, then Elvie, since you haven't gotten your chance yet, why don't you? What are your thoughts? What are the hot Elvie takes on Redline? What is the 411?
So I want to say, I just want to say up front, I did not write a response to this movie because I didn't think I had a lot to say uniquely when it comes to like saying a lot in writing form to respond to it. So I think I might reserve that for like series specifically. But
sure,
yeah. So like episodic series, I mean. But yeah, I want to say overall, this was an excellent movie. Years down the line, it aged gracefully, or I would rather say did not age at all. It's again, we did preface it by saying like it's astounding how this movie came out the way it did, being made for like almost 10 years in production. Oh my God. But not quite 10 years. And it would have been very interesting to see it have, you know, what would have happened if this actually came out at the time and it attended like 2002. And to give context, in the 2001 to like 2007 or so, right? Animation was like fucking bleak. Like this was like the time of the post-Renaissance Disney where there was literally no movies coming out of Disney. Like there were, or at least in terms of like well-celebrated movies, this is like the time where they just stopped doing princess movies. They stopped doing like movies with like female-centered characters until 2009 when Redline came out with Princess and the Frog, I think. And yeah, they were not hitting the box office. There was no big anime hits at that time either. I can't think of anything coming to mind. It was just a bleak time. Like what? This is like the first time I think Ice Age had a sequel or something. I think that was like that was how bleak the time period was. It was like there was nothing going on. You know, Disney was debating about like going to CG and giving up everything. There was nothing going on. I think Shrek came out the year before. Like, how do you meet expectations after that? Right? I think so. I might be wrong with that year, but there was no like significant animated films during this time. Like what would have happened if this movie came out like in that year? That would have been something. But it didn't. It came out in 2009, the year Summer Wars came out. And this movie actually did not do well in the box office. So I think it's very important to stress how I would really my second thought is like this movie is missing from many film discussions when it comes to greatest animated films of all time, and I think that's a huge this movie I feel like this movie's not getting the respect it deserves for like how astounding it is from a visual perspective and even a narrative perspective. of how much it succeeds. And I wonder if it's just because it's too fucking weird. It is fucking weird, but that makes it great. It's really good. I wonder if it was just very alienating around the time it came out. Again, like I mentioned, 2009 was kind of like a resurgence back to like, okay, things aren't so bad. There was like a lot of stop motion movies that came out. I think Coraline came out around this time. But, like there was like, the industry was healing in a way. Like, okay, now we have good animation again. Like there's animation that can be and I just wonder if that, I don't know, like again, I wonder what their circumstances in terms of like why did the Japanese audience not receive this movie well, unfortunately. But yeah, it's an astounding movie front to back. I kind of do agree with John. There were some moments of character development that I wish there was just a little more oomph to it, but I also agree with Maverick that this is a movie that also succeeds where you're not lingering too long on these characters as something that's about celebrating these characters. We do not need to stretch out what more than what we've been hinted as an audience or implied as an audience. But I do recommend checking out what could have been the pilots or like at least test shorts that led to this movie, Trava, the First Planet, I believe, Fifth Planet, Trava, Fifth Planet. You can fully find the full shorts of them online. They're quite old. It's not going to be hard. And yeah, you can kind of see the preliminary versions of the characters we see in the movie in there. It's very interesting. And again, that would have been interesting too if that did kick off at a much earlier time, like even way before the movie started development. And what a weird time the 2000s has been to animation in general. But yeah, this movie is definitely missing from, I think, wordy discussions of what is a great animated film from top to bottom. And I think everyone has said all the positive parts of it that needed to be said. And yeah, I just think about that a lot. I think about like, when people ask about like, what's your favorite anime film, right? People are gonna say the safe stuff. Not that's a bad thing, but people are gonna say like a Ghibli film,
right? Like
or they're gonna right, like, but they're not gonna. You're not gonna
or Evangelion or something.
or they're gonna say something like Akira. Stuff that has like iconography and has been so cemented in pop culture to the point where like, yeah, it's actually okay that you probably have not seen it, but you like the visual iconography. I think it's fine that you like the jacket, the iconic jacket from Akira, but you never see it. That's fine. But that just goes to show how much of like there's some sort of like weird merchant again, this unfortunately goes back to capitalism, does it? Like this weird like iconography aspect to like a lot of these things that cements the imagery in your mind that I think this movie doesn't do, because it's not aiming for that. It's not aiming for you to like it's not aiming for you to like you kind of like remember these characters for like very like watered down like surface like level aspects of it. Weirdly enough, it's a movie about racing that what am I trying? I'm trying to build a metaphor here. It's not working. But I guess my best way to describe it is that it's kind of like a drive-by situation. It's literally a movie that like goes through you. You like watch it and then that's it. It's meant to be like a movie of the moment. And not something that's meant to necessarily like stick with you, because right, it's not trying to say anything that like impactful. Like it does say certain messages and convey certain ideas in very subtle ways, as that has been discussed. But it's a movie of the moment. You're meant to like really enjoy like the cacophony of like all the visuals and how beautiful everything is, like how stunning the animation is. Like it does not miss a single beat when it comes to the animation. And I agree, and just again want to reiterate like what everyone has been saying, where every character they have lovingly paid attention to, no matter how and they gave them all very specific and distinct characteristics that made them who they are, despite the fact that we're not going to linger on them too much. I guess my point is really, I'm just reiterating how, like, yeah, this is an incredible movie. This time I saw the English dub version, and the performances are incredible. In the English dub version, I would say, I think it fits. I think it fits it more. What with the aesthetic of the rockabilly like weird like ambiguous thing it's got going on, which is funny because given those aesthetics coming from like the atomic age and how like space age exploration was very like glamorized and romanticized and whatnot, so and the space race at that point in time, So it's interesting how like 1940s to 50s like aesthetics and fashion trends seem very fitting to sci-fi in an ironic way. But yeah, like I don't really know what to say about it being like just a very stunning piece of art that I wish was appreciated more. You know, we're appreciating it right now, but like yeah, it's not something I would see often referenced when when these things are discussed, and it really needs to be. It really needs to be, I think, looked at, and highly recommend it to anyone. And I think also its time period needs to be accounted for. Like again, it's just stunning that this came out around a time where the industry itself was bleak. Yet these people were like, "Hey, fuck you! We worked so many years doing this thing. We're gonna put it out right now. We're gonna show you this." Yeah, and it really shows. The results really show. It's a great like adrenaline rush of a movie, through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, yeah, I think one more thing I would say is that I actually really love stuff like this in which I I love like strange sci-fi where they don't really explain anything. I was actually literally talking about this with some people the other day, and like The Fifth Element is one of my favorite movies, in spite of like its director, and like his mess as unfortunately has been apparent in recent years. But I also love shit like David Lynch's version of Dune. That's very strange. Like all of these like strange sci-fi movies that seem influenced by like Mobius and like other like and specifically like French sci-fi illustration. That's a very specific aesthetic, and this movie like conveys that in a weird way where you have like all these characters, like all these basically aliens and all these different species of characters, that are like just presented to you like on a platter, and we're gonna like give you like insights as to what they are and where they came from, but not really explain it. And that just seems very apparent when that comes to that sort of style. I really do like it. It's just like you kind of have like a buffet, get a pick and choose from. You just get a sample of like what this universe is, but you don't really need to go overboard with it, right? You just have what it is, and you're satisfied at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a great film that I hope more people get to see.
Yeah, I think in general, for as open as our cultures have become, in a sense, with, the advent of the internet and things like that, the actual proliferation of this stuff, which ends up so tied up in copyright and all these complicated, annoying things of our world also, the idea that we haven't, I would say we genuinely have not come that much further from, you know me, I'm the old Siskel and Ebert watcher, and hearing them talk about the distribution of, foreign films in the 90s and the 80s, it really feels like we haven't gotten that much further from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite a proliferation, like, even just when playing a lot of games recently, like, you look at the quality of the localization and how often it's just an in-house, like, for example, like a Japanese game, they just did the localization in-house for really cheap or whatever. Like, just had some dude English Google Translate or whatever.
Right.
And for movies too, it's just like very disappointing to see that.
Right, and only in recent,
just like,
right, and only. I'm so sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, it's
okay.
fine.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and just other examples. Like only in recent years have we finally seen now like international distribution and efforts made when it comes to like Chinese made media. Like and like
yeah.
I don't know if it's in response to like Wuxia being very popular among horny fangirls. But yeah, like even in video games, and like there was a great article that like lists down like a lot of Chinese developed video, at least I guess a more appropriate way to say like video games developed by people in mainland China or in the Chinese region. There's tons of them. There's like a whole like RPG scene there that's developed, but we don't get a look at that at all.
Arknights,
which again, right.
Genshin Impact is like all we get, right?
Yeah, like those two. And like again, there's like unfortunately like political reasons for that, but at the same time, there's like a whole like talented, prolific industry there that has its own unique like approaches to like genres we're so familiar with from like JRPGs. But no, can many people say that they experience like what a traditional CRPG is like a Chinese RPG? Like it's very different. It's very interesting. Like there's similarities, but it's different. Like the orientation's different, for instance. But yeah, it's just interesting. I do kind of agree with you. It's like we seem to have taken like steps finally. Like okay, we don't. One does not need to desperately you gotta pull up the DVR and like record something on a VHS. I'm gonna miss it. This is the only way I can get, or like have to go through like a store to find some weird bootlegger. Yeah, But no, there's still a lot of ways where foreign media is still deeply inaccessible. Unfortunately, especially when it comes to stuff in other countries where those industries have not been well appreciated by an international audience, or maybe even honestly just not as well developed yet. Yet there is something there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just love to be able to have more access to it, get to know more of the red lines of the world. In terms of Redline, my closing thoughts are if I had 2 complaints about it. Okay, for one praising, 2 complaints I'm going to do. One praising. Okay. The soundtrack is incredible. I don't think we talked about that enough.
It is
soundtrack's really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fucking great, yeah.
Every time
it's
Machine Head shows
a driving soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
A cruising soundtrack.
Like, if you want to pinpoint the disparity between, like, what is and isn't shared in cultural vestiges, like, it's emblematic in the soundtrack where you may still not have as much of the visual language, but the auditory language and what has come over into, like, Japan and those other regions is very apparent in its rock and house inspired soundtrack.
Yeah. It's good. My only 2 complaints are, one, here's my super petty one, okay? I don't want to see the man with his finger in his mouth moving around his old man mouth. They did it too much.
Listen,
they did it too much.
It's his coke finger.
I don't want to see it.
He's doing
I
that
don't want to
space
see it.
coke.
Or more specifically, I don't want to see it. And this sort of goes into my other thing where it's like, of its era, certainly, I think the 2002 era thing, it's... I almost want to say it's like slightly better than some modern stuff, like, you know, the isekais and things. We were talking about Mushoku Tensei's the virginity thing before the show or whatever. But like all the women in this, it's pretty rough. Going.
That's fair. I totally forgot there was just a random boob scene. Like there was no reason for her boobs.
Yeah.
No, but I get the context because I'm at, you know, like when I'm at home and it's fucking hot, I don't have roommates. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be boobs out. Sure, it's fucking hot.
Yeah,
but
no, me too.
I get the context, but it was just weird that was a juxtaposition. I don't know if that was intentional, but it was a weird juxtaposition where she's commenting. Like, at least I'm watching the dub. I don't remember what she says in the Japanese language. But in the dub script, she says she's watching like a special on her because, you know, she won and stuff like, you know, and she's just like complaining over like, damn, you know, like, wow, great, they're like focusing on my ass, but then her tits are out. There's a weird dissonance there. I don't know if that was intentional. Like, I don't know what was going on there. But yeah,
that wasn't so much my problem, and honestly, I would say neither is as gratuitous as it was the 2 whose names I can't remember.
The sexiest twins of the
sexy ladies. Yeah,
boy and Boss, the super boyins.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like I get the bit they're going for there at least, but it's just there is this oozing that is every time there's like even women in a background shot or in a crowd shot where it's just like anytime you see like them cheer or something for a race, and it's just like the boobs are going crazy everywhere. They're all like thin as a board, but like all the men have really dynamic appearances, that's my only disappointment is all the women in this look the same.
It's a classic problem still across like anime shops where we're like, okay, like why are men getting dynamic designs, but the women are all like pin up like archetypes and like they're all sexy and thin. Like it would have been nice to see a racer like who was a woman, but she would have been like more interestingly designed compared to everyone else. Like that would have been a cool contrast.
Yeah, like ultimately it wasn't like enough to take me out or make me like not appreciate it, but it was just very much like, God, okay guys, I see you drooling in the studio drawing this frame, like chill the fuck out. Okay.
and like as much
I was just gonna say no, but in a weird way it kind of does stylistically match to not to say that was still like, but like when you think of like
I get what you mean. I get what you're going for.
And like kind of trashy like pin-up art you see on like cars. Like I don't know, just something about it does match the aesthetic of it. But it would have been nice to see more women variety.
Right.
Besides like the female aliens we occasionally see, like it's like that's outright like not even a humanoid, you know. But that was it. Like as random background characters we see, but not in terms of like major racers maybe would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, and I don't know. I'm always gonna be a sucker for the fact that like the two main inspirations for JP when it came to getting into racing, one, the gold guy, who I still believe is the actual like mob boss. Like that's just my little headcanon that like shit got rough, and like that's partially why they become indebted, but also, you know, that Sonoshi is someone that inspired him to actually like get into the racetrack, which
Yeah.
I will always like. It's very cheesy, but at the same time, it's fitting for something like this.
Yeah, at least I can say their relationship was good. I think they clearly respect each other, and I like that. I was like, oh, okay, this is very power couple vibes here. Yeah, but still cheesy. But otherwise, I do like they respected each other. That was clear. That was clear. I felt like they were on very equal terms, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that about it? Any final bits about Redline, or should we go on to the show proper?
Let's go on to show proper, I think.
Yeah.
Unless we want to answer this question that someone sent in.
Oh, sure.
Which is one of the worst questions I think we've ever gotten.
Oh, okay, great.
Anonymous asks, which of the Redline aliens is the throat goat?
Machine Head.
It's in the name.
It's right there in the name.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about who else would get some solid work. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to think. Well, Little Daisuna would be too toothy. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. A lot of these would be a little too toothy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like Old Man Mole has multiple arms, so you know.
Yeah, but he's only got one throat.
We're talking about throat goat.
I know, but like.
You want to talk about the full
options.
experience.
I still got
full
it.
Experience.
I still got it.
Right, like if that's, you know, you're in the moment and you realize, oh shit, we can't do this. Here's an alternative. You know, you always have the plan B.
Here's an alternative. 4 of them.
Plan B is important.
Yeah, I can't think about anybody else but Machine Head for this.
Oh god.
I think we found our answer pretty immediately, so there you go. All right. So let's go to the main show, Rose.
Okay. All right. Let's see, how about you, John? Since it's been a bit since you chimed in, would you like to start by talking about some of the shows that have ended? I think that would be a good way to get started.
Okay. Okay. So two of the best shows of the spring season ended. And I loved both of the endings for very different reasons. I guess I could start off with Zombieland Saga. I feel like I should at the very least say we're gonna I'm gonna say we're gonna talk about Zombieland spoilers here. I don't know if I want to spoil Oddtaxi. I think everyone should just go watch Oddtaxi. I'm not going to spoil that, but for Zombieland Saga, I'm going to say the spoilers here. That show ended exactly how I thought it was going to. It was nice. It was pretty basic, you know, but it felt good to watch. It was everyone coming together. The big show where the girls got to perform for everybody, and they, you know, had it be like a charity event for Saga after they got hit by a typhoon. And then the last like 30 seconds of the show happened.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going crazy or something happened, but aliens showed up. And fucking, like, a UFO just appeared and, like, bombed Saga, and then it just ends. So,
that's just inconsiderate.
So apparently a year ago, for April Fools, they made, like, a poster that was Zombieland Saga versus aliens. and so I guess they're just doing that. It's it's something. I mean, there are still some answers that need to, or some questions that need to be answered. Like, like there are all these things where the girls seem to be like running out of time, maybe being zombies, being alive, because there was a bit where Sakura like seemed to be really weak. And then there was also a moment where Kotaro is also like near the end, he like spits up some blood. And they don't really talk about that. But also maybe they just won't, and maybe it's just over, and and Saga gets destroyed by aliens, and that's it. Which would be really good anyway.
Listen, at least they had a really good concert.
Yeah, go out with a bang, like have a wonderful concert. Everyone's like super jazzed about Saga, and then it gets wiped off the face of the earth by aliens.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I felt like the entire second season was really solid. Both seasons together are just a fantastic show. And yeah, if they do end up like wrapping it all up with a movie where it's zombies versus aliens, I'm game. I'm very game. And then for Oddtaxi, just oh my god, it was just a fantastic story. It was just a very, very well told story with just perfectly interwoven characters, fantastic music, great animation. It is just like, I think absolutely everyone should see Oddtaxi, and like I think it's the kind of show that you could just like tell your parents to see, you tell your like siblings who don't watch anime. Got your siblings who don't watch anime, you can tell them to see it. I just think that it's sensational. It's a very easy like anime of the season, probably going to be anime of the year unless some crazy shit comes out, which, probably won't be this season, but
Well, I know what's gonna be cited as anime of the season for a lot of people.
Oh and yeah, totally. This will be for sure.
Oh no, so what is surprising to me is that every time people talk about Oddtaxi, it is in the context of more people should be watching Oddtaxi. I am baffled at the idea that anyone could have like missed this at all in their watch list of everything. Like, it astounds me, and I feel like I've ended up watching a lot of.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I get it. It was a very different thing. It had a very different art style. Honestly, I remember seeing the like original the like poster and all that. It looked like it might be kind of cheap just from like the initial like stuff that I saw. They also sold it very like the description was kind of like bland too, and didn't really explain what the show was. They made it sound like it was just gonna be like what I imagined in my mind when I read that when I read the description when we recorded that episode where we went over everything for the season. I thought it was just gonna be like maybe like a 10-minute to 15-minute long episode thing where it was just Otokawa driving around and just talking to someone in the back. It was just going to be like a conversation thing. Not a lot of animation. Just, here's this interesting character. You listen to their life story. That's what I thought it was going to be. And so I expected it to be like something that was like cool, but not like, oh my god, amazing. But then it turned out it was just this really well done thriller all about all these different characters who, yes, do coalesce around this character who drives them around, and they do have conversations in the taxi, but it is very much not just about... It's not just about Otokawa. It's not just about him driving the taxi. It is about so many things, but, he is the center of all of that. And that is, that's why it's such a good show, because it does collect those characters together and form a well-told story around each of those characters, and they paced it so perfectly. Like, every single character has like exactly as much time as they need to get their point across, and I think it's a fucking masterpiece. Like, straight up, it is so good. So absolutely recommend it to everybody. That, like, I am explicitly not gonna spoil it for that.
Well, I'll definitely check it out. I know I've said this every time, but I'm so busy. There's a lot of shows going on.
If anything is
I know I'm very glad that
if anything's assuring, I know people who don't watch anime and they really love this series. So
yeah, I expect
it's something that's
so.
been
It's
making rounds word of mouth. So
well, it's good. You'd love to hear it, I guess. I should say.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, continuing with some ending stuff. Did you finish Megalobox, Maverick?
I did. Yeah. So
okay, yeah. How was that?
Oh my god. When it came to thinking about, so last time I talked about Megalobox, it came across as sort of this thing where it's like, yeah, you know, they pivoted into a direction that I don't think a lot of people even considered. Thinking on how the first season of Megalobox ended, and because of that, they really do a good job of just barreling into a story that has a lot more to say and is much more focused on what it means to. It is much less like about that simple underdog story, and more so thinking about what does it mean to root for the underdog. What does it mean to be against the odds? And when that pushback is presented towards you, you know, how does that affect other people? How does it affect people when it comes to being related to that kind of a story, being in the perimeter of that kind of a story? And the things that really became iconic towards the end were the fact that Joe, for better or for worse, was this, like, godlike figure in the way that he just swept through the competition in the first Megalonia, and was this source of inspiration for a lot of people. And, you know, a lot of things that come from the pressure of that kind of admiration, the way that you ultimately inspire other people, and the way that you ultimately still have a responsibility as a public figure to an extent to carry yourself, I think are things that really came across well. Minor spoilers for the ending of Megalobox season 2. It is very rare that, like, a series of any kind ends with we as a technological powerhouse and corporate entity recognize the errors of our ways, so much so that from this point forward, as a result of our accidents, we will go ahead and make our patents fair use, and anyone can use the tech that we have created to further their own advances inside and outside of Megaloboxing. Like, there is a lot to get to that point, but it is very... I don't know, this feels like such a very reactive season to a lot of things, and this one is very much like the biggest middle finger I can think of to every tech mogul startup that wants to do their own thing, that wants to do a lot of stuff, yet does so at the expense of multiple lives and of multiple families and of multiple... the well-being of multiple people, while trying to say that it is for the greater good. The greater good is being able to not profit off of anything that comes out of that technology. And to see that represented in this kind of a ending is very interesting. And God, I don't know. It's just, I am still buzzing thinking about how everything culminates and how, you know, Megalobox Season 2 is not about boxing. It is much more about the relationships that go on in and outside of the ring, and how ultimately everyone does have their own story. And when you break down that ultimate concept of what it means to be against the odds, you recognize that, that comes up in a lot of people's stories. There are a lot of people fighting their own odds. There are a lot of people having to make the most out of horrible situations, make the most out of tight spots, and being able to have those chance moments where you see that in someone else and you have that moment of recognition. There is less that want to have one dream surpass the other as much as it is just having that moment of awareness and reflection. And I think Megalobox Season 2 really speaks out a lot of that. And if you liked Season 1, I highly recommend Season 2. If you thought Season 1 was a little dry, finish it if you hadn't. And I really recommend getting into this one. It's going for something completely different, and I think it really hits the mark.
Oh, I'm just glad to hear that. I was initially, I have to say, the first episode you were on where you're talking about, I was just happy to hear that it was maintaining to be good, because I remember I finished Megalobox 1 and I thought, when I heard this new one, I was like, why, what do you do? Well, like where does that go? And hearing the way you talked about it, hearing the evolution of it, as it were, I guess, it seems like it was definitely more than worthwhile. So especially glad to hear you finishing it up and saying that it is just as compelling, if not more, than that older stuff.
Yeah. Again, more moving parts, but that I think ultimately helps to fill in a lot of that space that originally got taken up by Joe.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Elvie.
Yeah. Yes.
Vivi has ended.
Vivi has ended. Vivi Forward Eyes song has ended. As far as I know.
What's the thought? What's the vibe?
It's pretty good. It's a strong vibe. It's very good. Again, this is a show if you love like schlocky action sci-fi that doesn't have a lot of thought to it. Don't think about it too hard, because then you get upset. But if you don't think about it too hard, it's excellent. It's fun. It's really good. Like, stunning animation throughout. Like, amazing fighting scenes, amazing fight choreography. Like, it's baffling how good the action choreography, like animated action choreography is. I can't stress that enough. And yeah, it wraps up. I'm not gonna say what's gonna happen, but I feel like it ends in a way you kind of expect, like, again, like an action sci-fi that is not gonna end in a bleak note. I'll just say that, it just ends. It wraps up in a nice way that makes sense, I think, to a lot of people. And I've seen some theories out there that are overthinking it too. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's just as straightforward. It is what it is, ending as you see. If you see it, that's what that is. It's not. There's no like underlying meaning over what's going on. It's great. Like, again, highly recommend if you're just into, you don't want to. It's a show that seems like you have to think hard, and like it actually really fumbles a lot where it seems like it will. But if you're coming into that not thinking too hard, it's fine. It's great. It's stunning. It looks great. The music is wonderful. Again, this is a show centered around like an idle robot character. If the music wasn't good, that'd be sad. Like, music is great. Wonderful theme song. Like, they do so many interesting things with the theme song specifically, where they do a lot of cool cold opens on some episodes, and they intertwine it with what goes on, and they do it really well when it comes to especially juxtapositioning like a very happy song to some really unsettling and upsetting imagery. Like, oh, here's a scene of something bleak going on. Like, here's a scene of people dying or whatever. There's something going. Great show. And they do a lot of funny things too when it comes to like just some of the like wordplay and jokes when it comes to the fact that like some of these characters are basically robots they're dealing with. Again, like the whole situation, just to reiterate, it's like, oh, there's a potential threat going on where the AI might rise up and just kill all the humans, and then that's what the main character is doing. With she has to deal with all the stuff at hand to prevent it from happening, according to some robot that decides to visit her from the future to warn her. And yeah, how they wrap up that relationship too, like her and this little annoying like gremlin of a robot box that pesters her and orders around to do like all the assignments and whatnot, and gives her hints as to what to do to prevent the doomed future. How they wrap up that relationship and like how they like wrap it up in an interesting kind of twist. I mean, it's not. I don't know if we call it a twist because they build up to it. They like outright build up to it and reveal like what's going on with her. Like who is this robot's creator and why is that significant? They do it in such a sweet way. Like there's like I think like again too like again I don't think they're doing they kind of miss the mark and don't do such a strong job when it comes to some of the stories they tell, especially like when it comes to like, you know, yeah, or should AI, you know, again, the whole thing about like, you know, are AIs capable of like human emotions and processing that? Like, do they have souls? Etc. Like, what are, you know, what is the boundaries between their relationship with humans? Like, again, it's just the sort of typical stories you've seen this time and time again adapted in many other sci-fi stories that have probably done these things way better, but how it just presents everything visually is just such a treat and really immerses you in, and it's like such a fun actiony series that just gets you hooked on it. You know, again, it's popcorn. It's like again, it's kind of like fast food, but you know, just to reiterate, that does not have to be a negative thing. It's something that, you know, you can snack on and it feels great and you don't have to think about it after. It was just like, oh, this is a fantastic piece of thing that I consumed. And I thought it was good.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, again, just imagining a time if like Wit decided to still continue with Attack on Titan and not do this instead. That'd be something. Again, thinking of like so many alternate timelines here in this episode in particular. But yeah, they consider this a side project, which is again impressive. They put so much work into the visuals
for an original work.
Yeah, like it's astounding. I think my biggest complaint, I think my only and biggest complaint of this is that, and I think this would be like, this is from what I realized from this past season in particular. Again, even within stuff that I thought was good, I think my recurring complaint, if it had anything negative to it, is that either I wish the development of this show was longer or the content running time of the show is longer. Usually that latter being the fault of the former not being good, right? I mean, in this case, I wish the content running time part of Vivi was longer. Because, again, this is a show where it's technically spanning across a long period of time. Again, she's a robot. She's an AI, so she doesn't age. Like, that's her whole benefit, where she's trying to work across, like, a century to prevent this apocalypse happening years down the line. I wish it was stretched out so, like, that evolution of time was more apparent, and we would have more time to also kind of absorb what is good. Like, I don't know. Like, there's so much that could change across 100 years of human history, and we don't really get to absorb that. So, you know, like each case or arc she's doing, it's like 3 to 2 episodes each, and then it just, you know, it just seamlessly transitions to the next and it explains what happened, and that's, but then it doesn't really let us absorb that. Like, it would have been interesting if she had, say, if there was like a recurring human character that popped in, and for her to see and like experience them and seeing them age across like a certain amount of time, that would have been interesting. But instead, like each thing is like, okay, 10 years have passed, 20 years have now passed. We are now 70 years into like the time, but then like we did not really get to digest like of all the people, probably the people she has met over time. It would have been interesting to see her like absorb that and like how she reacted to, you know, like maybe someone died, or, you know, and like how did she. I mean, there were instances where that happens, especially towards the end. We do see the scope of, like, time passing and her, like, absorbing that emotionally as a robot. Like, that finally does happen towards the end, but we don't see that throughout the rest of the, like, the other stuff she deals with, like, and all the relationships she develops. It's just like, okay, beat by beat. You know, like, I think that was, like, a missed opportunity. And, like, again, like, it seems like this is it. Like, I don't know if it's going to be expanded even further. I don't know. I doubt it. It felt like a very final ending with how things wrap up. Like, I don't know what else you could do with that besides maybe more in between stuff, and that would be interesting again to, like, I guess resolve what I had issues with, where like it would have been nice to actually see the effects of time passing, like so much time passing with humans coming by and going in her life, in her robot life. And especially in getting to know more about the universe, it felt very it felt very, like, insulated. Like, I'm not sure actually where we are. I don't know if we're in Japan. Actually, that did not sit with me. I realized I actually did not know where to say was. Wherever we are, it felt like it felt like the apocalypse was very centered in this very specific location. It wasn't clear to me if this was an international issue. Like, is this happening? I'm assuming it is. Like, you know how Terminator it kind of was. Like, it just was implied that this was going to be an apocalyptic thing affecting the whole globe. But yeah, the passage of time went by too quickly. Where I wish they stretched it out in ways to like just make us realize how much of that was going on. Like just again, yeah. But otherwise, solid series. Great. It's great. Good.
Good. I mean, I don't know if you and Maverick wanted to talk about Higehiro
Okay. Yeah.
ending as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
What
for
are your
it.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, Maverick can start first on that.
Yeah, I mean, God, this has definitely been a show where I had to wait until the last episode to actually like give a viable opinion because Higehiro, I shaved and took in a high school runaway.
Mm-hmm.
From its inception is definitely a product that can raise some eyebrows especially when it came out the same season as the other show about a high schooler interacting with a salaryman that had zero chill, whereas this was much more interested in actually, wanting to talk about something. I feel like the author of the original light novels really saw a chance to create a story, and when when swept up to the pitch offices, was kind of just like, I could flub this as a romance.
Yeah, there's something about the title. I wonder if the title was intentional bait, right? That I feel that way too.
Yeah, like very much like I would be surprised, or not be surprised if it was like sitting in the waiting room ready to get the interview, and it's just like, I've got enough women in this story that I could fake it being a harem. I've got like enough connections that I could fake this being about a romance, because ultimately the main characters that we focus on for this story, there is a connection, so to say, but a lot of it is less focused on like a will they won't they scenario, or rather there's much less focus on whether or not Yoshida and Saori, I think, are the two. Yeah, sounds right. That they will Sayu. Thank you. So yeah, Yoshida and Sayu, that they will like get together in the end, as it is just like exploring what it means to cohabitate and find a connection, like a very blanket concept of connection with someone that is not immediately family or someone that you're like interested in. We start the story with Yoshida just like fucked up asking like his boss out because like he is in love with her, and we later find out that she's in it too, but it's like complicated, and there's that aspect, and that the initial meeting of Sayu and Yoshida is much like on the basis of like, she was kind of cute and I was kind of drunk, but like in every step that could feel maligned, there's also an adamant decision to make Yoshida like the most normal guy in terms of when you think about people in anime. He is very much someone that is like, no, I'm not gonna fall into this trap or trick of what the romance convention wants me to do. I feel like I have a responsibility here, but that responsibility is not to, for lack of a better term, this responsibility is not to groom you. And there's definitely a discussion to be had there in terms of what this relationship looks like and what that ultimately culminates for the both of them. But at no point, ultimately, I think the series did a good job of being able to leave things open-ended and make Yoshida, as the older figure, someone that was very responsible and understanding that, he was going to leave an impression on this person regardless of what he wanted to do by the end. And so that really just lended itself into someone that was probably the most mature out of everyone that was involved in this scenario, fucking God, Mishima was a headache to deal with at times, in that she really thought, this being another like love interest, thinking that she actually had to like fight a high schooler for this dude's attention. And it was
those are my favorite weird bits, right? In anime where there's just like this like grown ass woman who's like, oh no, like I talked about that with Log Horizon, right? Like Log Horizon had that weird bit, and it's just like, it is really weird.
Where she's like, well, I guess I don't have to fight for your affections anymore. And it's like, homie, she does chores at my house.
Like, yeah.
She literally has nowhere else
She's
to
got math
go.
class.
Well, no, it's that she doesn't even go to high school right now.
Oh,
Yes,
right,
like,
go to high school,
yeah,
right.
that's the problem.
That's the issue. But it's
She isn't at math class.
But it also
She's
does...
saying oomphy online.
She's... What you're also seeing is just like a very... I think there's a lot... There are drafts of this series that acclimate towards a more Western reaction of this kind of a scenario. I specifically think more about towards the end. And so, to get a bit into spoilers about Higehiro, the main reason that Sayu runs away in the first place is that her original school in Hokkaido is fine, but it's like she's getting mildly bullied because of the fact that she is like, oh my god, so good looking and like so pretty. She probably has so many friends. We don't know her. What, like a show-offy bitch, etc., etc. But has like one friend that she does make, and unfortunately, a lot of that bullying turns towards that friend, and with no other people to really turn to, and these people just being one another's support, ultimately, oh my god, I'm blanking on names right now. Ultimately, that friend takes her own life, as in the perspective of, I'm just causing you harm by being here. I don't want to continue to like take up space. In that very, Yuko ultimately just like makes that decision, and Sayu's unfortunately bared witness to it. And in the lead up of news reports and understandings of everything, her mom just has a meltdown and is like, you didn't kill her, did you? And the idea that, this person that she very much loved and like wanted to be a part of her life, to be accused of being the killer of that person, it's kind of just like the tipping point of like, yo, you never loved me. Fuck off. I'm running away. And
yeah, her mom, essentially, it was made clear her mom cared more about her reputation over like caring about and listening to her daughter's like well-being after the incident. And yeah, what happens then is like, yeah, she runs away. But her brother tries to like, her brother's actually very kind. He's like normal. But it's also like there's also an implied insecurity here because her mom often is like, why aren't you like your older brother? He's successful. Like why are you so used? Like she's her mom is like the source of like a lot of these problems. Very verbally abusive. And yeah, she runs away despite the fact that her brother, like again, it's like a whole like dignity. She doesn't keep in contact with her brother. She ends up running away, and then her life spirals from there, and that's where we're leading. The beginning of the series where she meets Shida at the very least, who's like the first person she meets that is not taking advantage of her, and doesn't want to go out of his way to do that at all, and he wants to at least, and he learns to be protective of her.
Yeah, I will say that like it is very, the show gets very like in depth in terms of the fact that like, after money ran short and like things were getting a bit dicey, she had to turn to Sayu had to turn towards just exchanging home for sleeping with the people that she was with, and Yoshida being the first person to not be a part of that pattern. They do take the time to sort of just like go into that enough where Yoshida's like, I am not interested in this. This is not a thing that I am looking for. I am letting you live here because I feel that you need a place to stay. And the fact that it does take like 3 episodes for that to really sink in, and I think that initial step was something that really could have gone either way. But after seeing how they handled that, where it was a case of just like someone that understood one pattern of getting a commodity that they needed, and having that just like being very bluntly subverted in a way where it's like, oh, okay, this isn't normal. This isn't like regular for me to do, or there are other ways that I can go about this. I think it was well done, and that was what really stuck me on for the rest of the series. And ultimately, I think that kept up. Like I had alluded to before, there is a bit where ultimately she does go back to her mom's place with Yoshida sort of there as like support, and the moral of that whole series of conversations does feel very rooted in a focus on family responsibility that rings somewhat hollow to me. I feel that, you know, in a time where there's a lot of focus on found family and being able to create community spaces where you are able to be with people that you enjoy, and those people will be able to reciprocate that love that you have for them. This was something where it kind of just fell flat for me, as opposed to a lot of what the series was building up to beforehand, and sort of just really focusing in on. But then, you know, by the end of it, it at least presents itself fair, where it's like, okay, you'll stay with your mom, but until you graduate high school. From there, you know, we'll see. If you never want to speak to her again, that's fine. If you never want to, like, come back, go off. But for the moment, you've got some work to take care of. Let's help you to finish that. It's another one of those shows where it's like, you know, it probably would have helped if there was a psychologist somewhere in the local area that could have helped with a lot of these reactions and responses to trauma. But there isn't.
I can comment on that specifically. This is a very Asian thing. And I understand like a lot of people's confusion as to like why that scene happened and why the resolution was like she needs to return back to her family, at least on diplomatic terms. This is a very Asian cultural thing where I do know many people, unfortunately, who've had to like compromise between tolerating more abuse that, you know, thankfully, you know, like tolerating more like verbal abuse from their parents, or like, again, like admittedly, yeah, probably resorting to something like what this girl has done, have just run away and like risk just being homeless because they just want to deal with that. And it's just a very much it's a cultural thing I'm not going to go deep into here, but it's just that I would say that's the context of what this is. And I also cannot comment on like the lack of social services that's very apparent in Japan, when oftentimes you unfortunately hear a lot of news in regards to mental health and how there seems to be, unfortunately, like even a stigma on an institutional level as to why this is an issue. Like, hey, why isn't there? Because there probably literally isn't one, and people don't think about that, and that's like an issue here. That said, I think it also was an interesting opportunity that really was meant to just showcase again how Yoshida is like a better person, and like how he was even just able to maturely talk down to this girl's horrible family and just say, hey, you know, you gotta own up to this. This is your life and blood. And you gotta own up to like what you have done by at least sheltering her again and just at least taking her in back and forgiving her. And I think this is where some of my problems with the series lies, where, you know, I agree. I thought this, you know, again, I came in with fear, I came in with apprehension, but then overall in the end, it was like, oh, okay, conceptually, this is a great story about, like, yeah, like found family, again, like found families, and at least having these difficult conversations about maturity and, like, you know, what it means to, like, interact with people and whatnot, and, like, what those interactions mean, like, and talking about codependency. You know, again, going back to my issue where, like, a lot of my issues with some series I've had was either it was not long enough, or again, the development for was on. This is one of those cases where It's worth noting the light novel that this was based on ended around June. And I think what had happened was they wanted the anime to end on time with that, and that was that. So that was like the ending, like the real ending. And I like watching the last episode and knowing what happens. I think it's like, okay, that sounds about right. They seem like, yeah, they wanted to match it up the ending, and that's the ending. That's the correct ending. They accurately did, I think, depict the best of their ability to what actually does happen in the books. That is a direct adaptation of it. But as a result, they sacrificed a lot of character development. I realized, so like, more than halfway through, this becomes apparent. I personally felt like it was very noticeable that suddenly we stopped caring about Yoshida's coworkers as much. We suddenly like lost focus on like his work life, and those characters suddenly just became irrelevant, or at least less relevant as time went on. As we were now trying to like hone in on this girl, like Sayu, and trying to wrap up what her situation is, and like finally now revealing everything that led her up to the situation. So now we just threw out like a bunch of other characters that probably would have been instrumental and probably have been more involved towards the wrap up of the series, especially when it comes to Yoshida, because at a certain point too, I felt like he kind of like lost his, well, I don't know, maybe I'm seeing it differently, but it was interesting how he just kind of became more of like settled in him being protective of this girl. Like, you know, he like somehow immediately wrapped up his problems, you know. It was a little weird to me, like, oh, okay, now he doesn't have, you know, like, we don't really see much of like what his issues are now. He seems really resolved at this point, and we see that kind of early. I'm pretty sure there's also more when it comes to like this girl's relationship with her brother, her family. It's like I felt like there was more that was supposed to be built up before we reached that point, and it was just lost. Like, I read an interesting like I read a thing too where her mom like really did not want her. Like, there was a whole backstory where I don't know, there was a whole thing where I don't know if the anime went into it as enough as it did, or like I don't know if I missed that completely, but there was a whole thing too that like kind of goes in deeper as to why her mother resents her. Like, there's a whole thing explaining that, but the anime did not explore that at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it did that. I think it did a huge disservice when it came to like the series of Elvie, because I felt like the first half was very strong, and then like the latter half was like, it felt more like, oh shit, we gotta wrap this up now, we gotta end this, and that's just what happened. They sacrificed like a lot of character development and a lot of good build up, I think, for the impact of like a lot of those things to make sense, or at least make better sense. And that's what happened, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. It definitely felt like it wanted to wrap up concurrently, and
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, like, if you wanted a condensed version of this narrative, it's there.
Yeah, it's a
it's
summary.
available.
Right.
Yeah, and
there you go. Here's a preview. Yeah, that's totally right.
yeah, ultimately, I will say, like, the poignant moments that they do make sure to like focus on, they're there. I really do appreciate that they did have that scene where it's like after this initial confrontation with the mother.
Yeah.
She just does not handle it well. And so Yoshida and Sayu step outside, and like once they're outside of that situation, Yoshida just breaks down because he's just like, I did not know how bad this was gonna be. And on top of that, I wish you could get as pissed off as I was, where it's like I almost like issued violence on your mother on your behalf.
There was a brief moment he like grabs a cup and he pauses, and it was like, oh shit. But that was a really good moment. It was not animated well. I'll tell you up front. Like, it's a that sequence is anime, but like that, but the fact that they like actually went out of their way to try to draw that moment, it was like, oh shit, that's really funny, but also solid. Like, wow, like him actually hesitating to throw a cup in her face. Like, he's gonna throw a drink in her face. That was really tense. But yeah, there were some great decisions made on terms of like character, like actions and behaviors and whatnot. There was a moment where like Sayu's revisiting the place where her friend killed herself, like, and she's like crying, and she grabs the fence, and like she's grabbing the fence so hard she actually cuts her hand, and like that's an interesting detail to add. And like, you know, like Yoshida looks at her hand, he takes a pause and looks at her hand. The fact that they like left that linger on was very interesting. I think there are like these weird, neat like nuances to human behavior that they added throughout the series that was like, you know, for series that's not animated well, I was like, wow, okay. And it does make me wonder too in the text if those moments were also like described in very specific ways that they felt like they had to depict that. So it really does make me think as to like what the text actually feels like. Maybe I don't know if it's like a third person perspective or it's like actually Yoshida's perspective. I don't know whose perspective it is, but does make me think of like what were some of the things they ended up not doing that would have been very interesting to see in the anime.
Definitely. But, again, like, by the end of it, I'm very much glad that I kept through with the series, and
Yeah.
I can firmly say, like, it can get tense at points where you don't realize it, but ultimately I think it is a good story about two people coming to terms with the fact that what they need in their lives is just like a specific, being able to reach out to someone without a fear of judgment or lack of reciprocity. Whether that develops into something more, that's not what the text is focused on.
Yeah.
Rather,
that's not the
it's
point.
more, it's more just exploring what that looks like.
Yeah.
And
I guess the growth you get from it.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what else to add. I think you covered literally everything. But yeah, here I guess it's good that he wasn't forced to make this a harem after all, like you said.
No.
There are moments in the anime where it felt like, yeah, I was like, ooh, that's not like the opening song, for instance, is like my biggest problem with the show. What makes it look like a harem, and it's like, and there are moments in the sequence too. If like once you finish the series, or at least know the information you do, it's like, what? Why did they make that like a weird happy sequence? That is depicting something fucked up. Like, what the hell is this? It's best. But there are definitely moments in the anime where it does that. It's like very apparent once you get into it. But I think it's definitely something I do recommend, like, just try out, and like at least to assess and like assert like anyone's fears about the concept of this show or series. It's like, yeah, no, it's actually mature and explores a topic that I think like does need to be explored.
All right. The term I was looking for was that I was glad it didn't Usagi drop.
Yep.
Whoa! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. All right. I guess I'll talk a little.
Please.
John, I do want to ask your take on Wonder Egg, but not yet.
Oh.
We gotta get to it. Because I haven't watched it because I'm trying to abstain. I'm trying to stay safe. But we'll get to that.
Oh no.
So I'm just gonna rattle through these realistically, because I don't have a lot to say about any of them in particular. Back Arrow finally ended. That was the Code Gay Ass. Sorry to call it that. I just force of habit. Director and one of the writers from Gurren Lagann. That ended. That was an original anime, 24 episodes. Overall, it was like decent. It had some fun character ideas, I think. But it really got lost in the sort of thing you hate to see from an original series, where it's very clear it's being invented week to week. You know what I'm saying? Things are being pulled together like before they make the episode. Every arc is pretty unrelated. There is a universal goal, but there's so many unrelated forces and so many unrelated arcs that it doesn't work like Gurren Lagann did, where Gurren Lagann in the early days had, a lot of, pretty much after the first 3 episodes, it's all like filler, right? For a few episodes. It's like the Keaton episode, Hot Spring episode, a couple other things. And it's just like that stuff works because later then those characters get filled out later, right? Because they had their little bit, but then they come into play later on, or they stay as a one-off character in the background. Here, because they introduce so many characters, they never give them a chance to really develop. They're just sort of like hinging off that idea of, hey, you know who this guy is. And they're not particularly interesting characters a lot of the time. Like, the most interesting character in the show was the strategist man, Shubi. He's just sort of like, super scientist and also like really like cocky, but like sort of like, he cares about other people type dude. Not like a generic scientist guy. He was very like a Chinese Romance of the Three Kingdoms tactician guy. And that was fun in a show like this where it's all mechs and stupid stuff. But the ending to the show is basically like, I'm going to go into spoilers here because I think I'm the... my God. I'm the only person I know.
Do they escape the wall or whatever? Like, is that...
So, yes, they do.
Okay.
Towards the end, they started setting up basically that this is one of the most insane contrivances like reasonings I've ever heard. So they lived inside of a wall that was all like there's like 1 million of them, of their little communities or whatever, and they're all linked up to a center one that is God's realm or whatever. And they go there to go fight God. They go outside and they go, no, this isn't God's realm or whatever. We're a life support system for a baby in space.
Okay.
Who is
the
last survivor of a spaceship pandemic.
Word.
And we kill you or whatever all the time because that's how the system works to maintain the baby being alive. And they go, how long has the baby been on life support? And they say 2,000 years.
Okay.
And they basically just do like, I'm not exaggerating, shot for shot Gurren Lagann cuts, but like obviously worse because they don't have Trigger there, or Gainax, I guess I should say. The animators necessarily, it's a lot of CGI stuff. And it's just like it falls pretty flat. I think it just doesn't have any of the oomph of Gurren Lagann, any of like the excitement or crazy things. It just feels like we can do the cerebral mecha thing, we're gonna make him think. And it didn't. It also doesn't really end. They beat this guy, and then basically they go, all right, now Shubi's going to invent an interstellar transportation system in 1 month. 1 month since he discovered space exists. And they're going to transport the baby through space back to Earth.
All right.
They say Earth as the last line. They say, I'm excited to see what Earth is like. And I was just like, okay.
So they're not on Earth. They're like on some other...
They're a life support system. That's it. They're like, I can't tell. I guess they are the size of blood cells is the implication. Or even smaller, Osmosis Jones style.
That's silly.
It is silly. I don't really know why they did it. It was very strange. Yeah. The main thing I think it's fine. It was fine. Again, I want to action week to week was pretty interesting. I think it had a lot of interesting ideas. It just didn't know what to do with it. It's the peak anime original curse. They don't know what they're doing. They're just throwing it together.
My impression of your description of like what their ending is, it's like, like the whole thing where it's like, it seems like they're just making it up as they go along. It doesn't sound like this was foreshadowed whatsoever. Based on what you said. Like there was
it doesn't even
make
like,
sense.
Oh,
they're actually tall, small or something, or they're okay. There was nothing. There was no.
No.
It just
and even worse than that,
decided to drop it.
I think, is just leading up to the ending. They had this one guy, the main antagonist for all intents and purposes, who is the Julius Caesar guy who shoves wine bottles in himself to become muscular or whatever.
Yep.
That guy keeps coming back. It is unreal. It is like too much. It is like, so like episode 14, I would say they start to fight him, right?
Mm-hmm.
They beat him episode 16. Episode 18, he's back. Episode 21, they beat him again.
How many was it?
Episode 23, he's back. Yeah, like, it's just like, it is ridiculous. Like, it is like, I don't know why. And also because he's not a compelling villain. He's just the type of guy who just shows up. He doesn't have any motivations of his own. He's just like, I love God. I'm going to fight because God. And it was just like, okay, cool guy. And just him, his gimmick is just he's very powerful, and that's it. No rhyme or reason for his power, just he is. And they don't really explain that with their ridiculous ending explanations. But yeah, that sort of repeated like people coming back and stuff like that is just, that's sort of the problem with it. I think it's something that I complained about with Sword Art Online, right? Where he kept bringing back his sword boyfriend like 4 times in the final season, just over and over again, and it was like at a certain point he's not even dead, like he's just here, like, right, like he's just a magic ghost who hangs out. But yeah, I was disappointed in this because I was excited for like, you know, a stupid ass mecha, because I'm not big on the Gundams of the world. Let's say I'm the Gurren Lagann girl. I like them just being really stupid and having one person who's really smart being like, you guys are really stupid. Fuck it, sure, let's go. Like that's the vibes I like. And this delivered on it in some instances, but it didn't have a cohesive idea of what it wanted to be. And then here's 3 other endings just really quick because I won't go in as far detail as those. So the Spider Isekai ending got delayed.
Yeah, I'm not
because I don't know if you saw episode 23, but
yeah, that
it was pretty
awful.
bad.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah.
It was like one of the worst episodes of an anime I had seen in a while.
What happened? Oh my gosh.
So they addressed that.
Okay.
They talked about how due to COVID stuff flaring up in Japan again as they were finishing their production, since they work primarily with Chinese studios for that, I guess, their whole like the communication broke down for a long period of time, and then when they finally got the work for episode 23, it was so bad, like as you've seen, but they didn't have enough time, so they just ran with episode 23, and obviously response wasn't positive. Reception was not good. So they redid episode 24. It looks all right. It looks totally fine. Things are sort of set up now in that, as it were, but I don't know if they're gonna do another season of it. I thought it was good. I liked the whole series as a whole quite a bit. And I like where it's going, but it just sort of ends randomly. Which, also, this is mainly because the manga isn't very far along. Shadows has also ended with an anime original art.
Yeah, that was to me, some people were fine with it, and I'm like, as someone who does not even read the manga, I was like, what is that? What did I see?
Yeah.
I was very confused. It built up in a very confused way. I do not understand what happened. I did not like it.
It's just like, it just was really like by the numbers, like, why is this happening? Where's the motivations happening for it? It feels like they're just trying to accelerate to a big climax at the end.
Yeah.
In a show that seems to just be slow burns, I'm going to be real with you. Like, that seems to be the conceit of the show, is it's very slow.
It just made up shit last minute to end it. I was like, okay, I'm not into this.
And nothing was resolved by it. Like, right? Like,
no,
nothing
it just
happened.
ended in a weird way. Yeah.
They basically retread ground. Yeah, it was just really unnecessary. Speaking of unnecessary, the World Ends With You anime ended, and that adaptation as a whole, I think, is fine. I think it works best if you're a lapsed TWEWY fan, which you better be, because that game came out 13 years ago. What am I gonna say? What, you want me to say The World Ends With You again? No,
TWEWY's fine.
Come on. But yeah, it works best if like you played TWEWY when it was like new, and then you were like, damn, I liked that. Let me remember what that is before the game comes out. I think that's the best use case for this.
Yeah.
If you're a new person, I feel like it's probably not as compelling. Obviously they're condensing a like 40-hour video game to like 6 hours. So if that, so a lot's lost. A lot of the personality of the world is lost. Again, in terms of animation, it was still spot on. They nailed it, I think. Completely on model. Looked really good. But there was this really weird thing where the last episode, they sort of reworked the ending in a way that was like, okay, it lacked a bit more of the imagery that the game had, but it was fine. But then they just have 2 characters stand on a roof and explain every single subtext event that happened in the entire show to each other, like to the audience or whatever, as a back and forth. And I was just like, what? Like, really? Like, dead serious, it was just this one guy going, so all the way back in episode 2, when this thing happened, that was you, wasn't it? And then he goes, ha, maybe, but that's hardly fair, because in episode 4, you did this, and stuff like that. It's just like, god damn, like, no confidence? Like, did you just need to fill for time, or what? Like, what is this? It was really weird. It is also just disappointing because I think, like, obviously Kingdom Hearts and most Nomura works thrive on their ambiguity, right? Their vagueness, their mystery. And to have two characters just to say everything, it just feels like...
Yeah.
It's like a YouTuber video. That's what it felt like. Kind of like... it was just unnecessary.
Why TWEWY still stands up today.
Yeah, like, that's exactly what it
With
was
the
like. It was just like the hidden depth of TWEWY. Like, that was the ending. Like,
and
it was
truly,
like...
the world ends with you.
So actually, that reminds me, a thing that I really liked about the anime itself, since obviously it's subbed, right? I think there is a dub with the, game voice actors.
Oh,
but the Japanese title, It's a Wonderful Life or whatever I think it is, or What a Wonderful World, I believe, Subarashi Sekai something. Anyways, that they say that so much. They say both of the titles a lot in that, and it was just like I was thinking like, oh, that's an angle of the game that I hadn't thought about, because I believe the localization pretty much removed a lot of when they said that.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that thematic. Like, oh yeah, this is where the title is in the Japanese. I think they made a good choice in making the world ends with you for the English title. I think that's a really that's a strong title, and it's also just like really effective for what the game's themes are. But it is interesting to see that other angle of, hey, this also worked for the game's themes, just from another perspective. Yeah, I'm really excited for the game. I just want to play the game now. Yeah, pretty excited. So I guess that was their goal. Mission accomplished, right? That was that's probably what they wanted. But now I've prolonged it enough, John.
Yes.
How wonderful is that egg?
It was fucking putrid. It was legitimately one of the worst endings to anything I've ever seen in my life. It was offensive on multiple angles. It was poorly animated, which, I want to be understanding because of COVID, but, part of Wonder Egg's appeal was that it was well animated, and now it is not that.
It lost the one good thing it had.
Yeah, it was just...
They needed Twitter animators.
Yeah, they fucking hired people off of Twitter, which, I don't want to talk shit. It's good to... if you're a talented animator and you're getting picked up for your work, that's one thing. But they're just randomly grabbing someone without any kind of, training or fucking anything. They're just like, all right, you're making this show now, bye, because we don't have enough time, or we don't want to put effort into this, because they had other shows. There's other shows coming out this season. They have movies they're working on. I think they did a music video recently. They're not working on this shit. They didn't wrap fucking anything up, even. They just threw in more shit. So, oh my god. All right, I'm just gonna run through this, all right? And y'all can fucking stop me. But, all right, so this was a 40-minute long whatever. This is 45 minutes long. First half of it was a recap. Which, if you pointed this out, Rose, 1/6 of this show is recap.
Yeah, an original anime, too.
Original anime is 1/6 recap. Again, I want to be understanding COVID, but still, holy shit. this is like, it's one of those things where you just wish that they just didn't do it. They just waited. Like, shit is bad right now. Yes, I get it. You don't have to crap out something, you know? Like, take time. Anyway. One of the first things they start off with is they explain what's going on with all the girls that come back. It turns out that they all come back. The girls that killed themselves, they came back. But they don't remember the person who saved them. So that is like the twist there. It's just like, okay. The girls have to live with bringing back the person they care about, but that person doesn't know them anymore. Which, whatever. That's fine. But then they also decide to explain why Koito, the girl, the main girl's friend, why she killed herself. She didn't actually kill herself. What she was doing, and I guess a little trigger warning here for everybody. Her whole thing was that she would just go from school to school, perpetuate false rape accusations for teachers, and then leave. And so that was her. She was fucking around on the school roof. And that was what was up with the teacher. That was the whole thing.
What?
She was trying to blackmail him. Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, no.
Cancel culture has gone too far. That's what
right.
they're saying. They're saying
Oh,
she's.
no.
Oh my fucking god.
That's ooh. That's really bad.
It's
because
really
that
bad.
Because that also does not align at all with, like, the weird relationship I had with that teacher. There was, like, a lot of strange interactions, too, with him, like, directly with her mom.
Yeah,
Like, there were. So then it's like, what? Oh, by the way, that's a lie. But then that does not align with what he actually seems to be doing. That's really. That's really frustrating. Wow. Okay.
They could just, because he's the one who talks about it. So that could be like. That could be them trying to be like, oh, maybe he's lying. But it's not like they show any kind of different take on it. They just show that as the truth.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck am I supposed to take from that? It's fucking rancid. It's fucking rancid. So, and then, the next thing that is fucking insane that they just throw in there, Nehru is suddenly revealed to be an AI.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But she was
Doesn't that
established
feel sort
as
of at
as a
odds
test
with
tube
her
baby.
backstory.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You got more? Yeah.
I don't know what to fucking say, because it's just bad. It's just fucking bad.
Okay.
They just randomly
don't
throw that
explain
in there.
it, okay.
And then fucking like they don't go into the shit with Frill. They don't touch that at all. They don't do anything with the like bug girls or whatever the fuck. It's not like there's any more combat or whatever. It's just fucking. I just, like, blows everybody off. She specifically blows off Nehru. And then, like, regrets it? And then at the end of it, she comes back and starts, like, opening up eggs again. For some reason. For no reason. I guess to try to get Nehru back, because Nehru, like, vanishes. I don't know if she, like, deletes herself or something. I don't fucking know. Momoe and Rika are just, like, gone. They don't like, exist. I mean, they're there, but they don't fucking... Nothing about them matters.
They don't do anything with them. Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. It is fucking horrible. Like, I don't know. I was laughing about it, I was just laughing about it. I feel bad laughing about it now. Because it was just bad and offensive. I was just like, I was defending, I was like fucking saving myself from thinking about this too hard. Cause it's just rancid. It's legit one of the worst things that, like, they really took this, like, neat premise with, like, 8 episodes of, like, really good build-up, really good character dynamics, and they just flushed it all down the toilet. It is so horrible, and it absolutely is the writer's fault. Like, it is that writer's fault. Like Rose, you talking...
It's on brand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, you talking about that writer's, like, manga and all that. This guy very much... I don't know if it's, like... I don't know. There has to be a reason for this, because I feel like it's not just... I know I might be being too forgiving, but just from Wonder Egg Priority, after watching that whole thing, I feel like it's less negligence and more just complete and utter just buffoonery. It is just, you want to make this have so many twists, and you want to handle this. I feel like this writer wants to cover these hard topics, but does not know how to, and is just being given carte blanche to do it because nobody else wants to do those kinds of things, and is just so bad at it that it loops back around to being just hideously offensive every time. Like, it's so fucking bad. Like, this dude should not be allowed to work anymore in this fucking industry. Like, this guy is just so bad at what he does that it is offensive. Like, the term offensively bad was made for this writer. Like, fucking pick a new job. Do something else with your life. Stop writing. Please, stop writing.
I hope that it seems like the overwhelming public opinion has been that it was bad as well. So I mean, that's good to hear. I just don't understand why someone would use their platform so consistently to do these things. I think between that bad manga I read and this in general, like the idea of in the modern era to play into that idea, like certainly yes, there can be, you know, that sort of false accusation angle, right? That is a thing that happens sometimes, but utilizing it on a public platform like that, expressing it in that way, to me just feels vastly irresponsible. It feels like basically just like being like, you know, yeah, it could happen, you know, like,
and using it as a twist when you've been setting this, like, the whole thing was that it is just for a cheap twist. It is, oh man, they've made this guy out to be creepy this entire show. And right at the end they go, no, actually, he's actually really nice. It was a high schooler who was being evil, and then she died on accident. Isn't that weird? Maybe she deserved to die. Maybe that's what... That's kind of what they're asking right now. That's kind of what they're saying. Maybe she deserved to die because she was constantly fucking around with all these men, and she was just trying to get her jollies by hurting all these men.
Realistic character, a 16-year-old girl who switches high schools all the time to do this. No, realistic character that is totally viable to happen.
Yeah, just
fucking insane.
Like, I'm even trying to think of, like, devil's advocate here to an extent, but I'm, like, trying to think of a way in which they could do that storyline, but more viably. Like, you know, like, I feel like a more interesting way could have been, like, they could have been like, hey, she is doing it in this case because she feels uncomfortable not having enough attention or something. She's a teen. Teens are like that. And if she just, like, she did that and then she got over her head and then, like, freaked out about it or something and that made her fall off or whatever. I feel like even that would have been more interesting, right? Like, that, it would still be bad, but you'd get what they were going for, like, this idea of society pressures a woman to do whatever, you know, like.
I mean,
It's still bad. I'm just saying, like, there's no thought in this, is what I'm
I mean,
getting
it
at.
wasn't
I'm saying this is...
in this scenario, it wasn't society that was killing girls anyway. It was a fucking 16-year-old AI that wanted to fuck her dads.
I
like,
know. No, I know that was already where they lost the plot. I just mean like the original conceit they were going with, that it seemed like they were going with for the early episodes, right? Like,
yeah, this
it
is
felt
just
like that was where they were going with it.
A complete fucking disaster, up and down. Like, what a shit show. I mean, I'm glad I watched it because I like that I have a good basis for like what a real shit anime is, like what a really awful story is here. But like, man, what a disappointment. Like, I just remember like when this came out, you know, walking around like being like, ah yes, they are walking this tightrope and they're doing it. Like, I explicitly remember is saying that, like, this is them walking a tightrope, and as long as they stay on this path, they will make it to the other side. And they hit that point where they didn't just slip off the tightrope, they turned right and walked off that tightrope. And episode 13 is like the ambulance that was driving them to the hospital crashing and blowing up. Like, that was what happened there. It was just a complete disaster.
Well, we're free now. It's fine. We don't have to think about Wonder Egg ever again.
It's
until
done.
This guy probably gets another work for some reason.
Until we talk about stuff at the end of the year.
That's true.
Looking back.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to go too long here, so I was say, Maverick, do you want to finish up with anything before? Actually, yeah, I'll do Maverick and then Elvie's one thing that I think we should definitely talk about, the mug show. But yeah, is there anything you'd like to talk about, Mav?
You know, just quickly highlighting, if you wanted a sports show, Backflip settles that niche. It's getting a movie, so be on the lookout for it. In terms of itching or scratching niches, I killed slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Surprisingly came in as a filler of these like Yurucamp voids that I was left with, or this void that Yurucamp left when it finished up. In terms of something that was like cozy and convenient to come back to, and I don't know, I feel like it's definitely easy to sell. It's like, oh yeah, like lady gets a harem and, you know, everybody just falls in love with her. I appreciated they got a little bit further into it where it's like, yeah, you know, she just ultimately raises a commune and is hell-bent on making sure no one gets overworked. It was fun. If you're looking at that drugstore show, skip that and just watch 300 Slimes.
Yeah, I can attest to that as well, and it was enjoyable. Obviously, I had my problems with its weird, non-committal, gay stuff that was really just weird more than anything, just strange more than offensive or anything. Just strange.
The moment that Demon Girl was added in, all hell broke loose with the horny stuff. Like,
I thought that it was great to create this nightmare character who had just read Citrus, and that's their idea of what relationships are.
I think my only problem with the show is that it should not have been an isekai. It does not feel that way. There was no reason for that premise. Unless I'm wrong, it happens later on.
No, I mean the overworking part, right? That leads to her like ideology, but yeah, it just feels like a conceit to introduce modern ideas into this setting. That
she doesn't really do. Yeah, she doesn't do much to. Like, she could have easily been just a regular witch in that world the whole time, and there's maybe something happened to her, and that. Yeah,
like, I'm an isolationist witch, and I didn't realize I was. I didn't need that extra angle, right?
Right, like, or something. Yeah,
I get you.
She was wronged or something, and now she's. Yeah, I gotta help these gals out and house them. It was still pretty good. Yeah, it's otherwise fine.
Yeah,
but it's just like, wow, that
fun cast.
That's an element that goes away.
Really weird that the Blue Dragon became like increasingly insane as the show kept going on to the point where they made her like
she's losing her mind,
an insane critic brain at one point, and she's just saying like absolutely insane shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, or should Elvie talk about mug shit?
I want to hear Elvie go in on these mugs.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I'm gonna go and use mugs. So, once again, this is a show that seems to be really, like, selling the idea that this is about, like, a group of girls and doing ceramics, and it doesn't, like, succeed on that at all. I personally think, because, again, I think it's interesting and, like, good to show, like, a character that fails upwards constantly, in a way that, like, yeah, makes you want to keep rooting for them no matter how much they fail, because that's realistic. And yeah, you gotta fail many times to get better and practice at what you're doing. Yeah, again, like, just to reiterate, the main character, she's just bad at ceramics. She never gets it right. She keeps fucking up. She feels pressure because her late mom was a great ceramics person. That's how her father fell in love with her, and etc. Um, to the point where her mom has made this, like, amazing monument with her father, and it's just, like, immortalized around near the town. So when she saw it one day, so eventually she figures out, okay, what I can do for, like, the upcoming big ceramics contest. She figures out, oh, I can do a ceramic cushion. In the end, I'm gonna, how can I spoil the mug show? I'm gonna spoil the mug show. She does not win the competition at all. She wins a participation prize, which I think is really funny. She basically wins, like, a sculpting set, like, meant for little kids. It's not like, it has a scalpel and everything. But yeah, that's a great message to get across. It's like, yeah, sometimes you just can't win all the time. And her father fucking breaks the ceramic cushion she made. He sits down on it and, like, he just fucks it up. And she starts crying, but she's crying happy tears because it's like, I can't believe, even though I did not, like, win what I wanted to do, like, someone was so touched by what I made anyway that I made it that far, and to the point where my father wanted to actually sit on this thing, but he broke it anyway. And yeah, that was the mug show, but apparently it's greenlit for another season. So that is that. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but anyway, they're doing a bomb in here where, like, they introduced a new character in the last episode. So they introduced this. So, like, again, like, it's interesting and it was very cute where they actually had cameos of, like, the people they meet in the live action segments in the show itself. In this last episode in particular, I thought that was interesting. So I actually don't know when the anime finished production compared to when the live action stuff was filmed. So I'll get into the live action stuff because the live action stuff got really unhinged. But one of the judges, apparently they just threw this in. One of the judges apparently knew the girl's parents, and he was there when the mom, like, made, like, this magnificent sculpture. That again is immortalized and is very beautiful, apparently, because the way it's just very beautiful. And when he saw, like, the girl's, like, entry, like, he was so touched by it that he, like, was flooded with memories of, like they introduced this guy who has, like, all this backstory with this connection with this girl, and then, like, they just, like, oh, okay. So I guess they're gonna, like, further explore that in the second season or whatever. Like, further details about her parents and, like, how deep ceramics runs through her family. So yeah, but yeah, live action segments. Fucking unhinged. Okay, so, like, again, I have to say I love the live action segments more of this show because, again, the show did not really stay with me and, again, did not really build a lot of connection to characters. Again, it's just the actresses hanging out and eating around this town. And just seeing all this shit and being tourists, and it's fun. Last time I talked about the mug show, I was going into how it was just really strange and funny that they were playing up that it was summer, when I don't think it was actually summer. I think it was, like, a different season, and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have all the actresses, like, walk around Yukata and, like, pretend it's a summer festival, but it's not fucking summer. It's fucking raining. And you occasionally see in the background some of the residents of this town, like, again, they censored their faces, but you clearly see them on looking to them shooting the stuff, and they're, like, clearly weirded out. Like, why are these women walking around in the rain in Yukata and it's not summer at all? But all of a sudden, it's a small thing, but all of a sudden, the women are, like, now wearing long sleeves. And it doesn't hit me until the end of this segment that it's now winter. There was a huge gap of filming in between the last segment we've seen, where it was clearly spring or summer, and now it's fucking winter. And that was clear now that at some point they had to stop filming because this was around winter 2020 when COVID got really bad in Japan. And they had to resume filming at some point. Anyway, in this segment, they're going around, they're just eating now. They're just testing different restaurants, eating now. Having a cute little food tour. And it was very sweet hearing, like, again, the owners go into their stories of how, like, yeah, like, like, oh, like, this one guy who's like, the noodles take so long to make, and like, I consider it my art as much as the people around town consider the ceramics there, and it's just a very touching speech. But then when that realization hit me, that it's winter in Japan at the height of COVID, oh my gosh, they should not be around all these old people running these restaurants. I'm like, okay, it's nice that they're supporting these businesses because they're probably not getting business at all at this dire time. But they're fucking going around just like interacting with all these old people. I'm like, oh my gosh. At some point, they asked like one of the women, saying like, oh my gosh, yeah, this restaurant has been here for like decades. And one of the actresses says like, oh, I hope this restaurant will be here forever. And I'm like, oh, not at the rate you're going. Like, you're exposing yourself to this old woman here. Oh my gosh. And then like, yeah, here and after, they're just all indoors. Like, they're all indoors. They're doing stuff where they have to do it indoors because it's cold outside. It's winter. And then yeah, the last segment, they just have a cooking contest. And then now all of a sudden they're wearing masks. The actresses have not been wearing masks like at all in any of the prior scenes. I mean, prior segments too. And it's just really weird to see this evolution of like, oh my gosh, COVID is escalated now. Like they have to adapt to this, and like it's clearly visible in what the actresses are wearing and like how much time has passed. At some point they're revisiting a place they have already gone to before because it's like they're picking up these ceramics they made and they probably had to wait for it to dry. But one of the actresses just loudly says, like, oh, it's been a long time since we've been here. Like, oh my gosh, no shit. Like, it's been 2 seasons since you last visited the studio to pick up your stuff. Because I don't think it takes that long to fire something. Like, no, there were, like, weird evidence, like, weird bits suggesting they had to, like, stop filming at some point just to finish up these live action segments. And then one of the last things they do is just a cooking contest. At that point, they just stop focusing on the town. They're just focused on themselves. They're having a cooking contest. Like, okay. But then they make it relevant.
It just speaks.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that, like, they shouldn't have made a tourism advertisement anime right now, maybe. Like, maybe they should have just held off. I don't know. Like,
but they did tie its relevancy back to it, where it's like, oh, okay, they're plating the food they made on the stuff they made. It's like, oh, okay, that's cute. They have a little wrap up where they're eating dinner together. It was a curry contest. I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. They have a curry contest and they're eating on the plates they made. They're showing them all the stuff they made. They're just like, oh, what was your favorite moment? They were just wrapping it up. They were just wrapping like, what was your favorite moment? And them like getting all the gifts and stuff they bought in the town. But it was just like, wow, this show is a weird, like, the show evolved. The live action part of the show evolved into a weird timeline of like how COVID escalated in Japan, and I think it also exemplified their weird ways of adapting their again, like, I'm not one who watches like a lot of the live action variety shows, but unfortunately this is not just an issue with this anime in particular, but I'm sure this is what has happened with a lot of their live action entertainment. For some reason they're like, no, we just gotta keep doing what we're doing. You gotta make sure these celebrities are still, it's just like, oh god, why did they, oh man, it just became very apparent once that realization hits you. But yeah, this show's getting a second season because, yeah, with COVID getting bad again in Japan and spiking, again, COVID's still going on. It's still apparent. It's still happening. There's still a pandemic everywhere. Some people still do not get their vaccinations, even though they want them. They're getting a second season of the show because I'm sure that town certainly needs more tourism if businesses are not doing great.
Is this like their whole budget? It's just a show for tourism? Like, they just draw it up. There's like...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I might watch it just because I'm curious if they're gonna do something with that weird character they introduced at the end. They just threw in like, oh, yeah, but I'm very curious if they're gonna still have live action segments. That's also another thing. I'm like, are they gonna still do this? Like, yeah. I mean, I feel like by the time they film it, it might be. I actually, I don't know. Anything could happen, but yeah, what a strange show. I did not expect it to go that way. But yeah, it didn't really hit me in terms of like the actual anime at all, but the live action segments is like, ooh, that was just interesting to see across time. But yeah, not a strong, niche club run by, no, it's just, it wasn't that strong on that front. It's definitely not something. Barely learned anything about ceramics, I would say. Yeah. Because again, the whole issue was the main character just sucked, and I don't know, I wasn't learning from her mistakes.
There was no like arc.
There was no arc, yeah. She just kept failing.
Well, that they're saving that for the second season.
They're saving that for the second season.
All right. I'm gonna cut us off there for now. I mean, unless you want to do a quick little aside about Chainsaw Man, John. I know you just read that. I don't know if you'll have those fresh thoughts.
I mean, I blew through it all in one night.
Yeah, I did that too.
It was really good. I'm not gonna say, because you know what? I'll just talk about it when we watch the anime. But I liked it a lot, so I am looking forward to the anime a whole lot.
I am as well. Hopefully that stuff with Mappa maybe something can actually happen that's good and not bad.
Maybe.
It doesn't look like it, but who knows?
I don't know about that.
All right. Should I just do our ending bit then?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, next up, our next anime that we're gonna watch is so, you know us, we're horrible. We love to do gimmicks for our episode 69s of things. So this time around, we decided to go with watching Panty and Stocking and Garter Belt. Because what better encapsulates the concept of 69 than that show?
I agree.
So we're watching just the 13 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's going to be on Funimation
Mhm.
out there. There's probably other places you can find it, but Funimation is the place to find it. I believe you can watch it for free. So, yeah, just check that out. That'll be in a month this time around. Not our extended schedule. We'll be back on the track once again. I think another episode in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that. But yeah, awesome. As always, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/VGCC. $3 a month gets you all of our episodes 1 week in advance. And if it's a normal show, stuff like Elvie's show notes that she started to do. Really great stuff to check out.
I can't wait to see Elvie's show notes
The
for
Panty
Panty
and
and
Stocking.
Stocking.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this show. So I've not done multiple. So this will be.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
remember watching it when it came out, and I was in
Yeah, definitely.
like 6th grade. So I feel like that was the best time to watch Panty and Stocking. But now that I am an adult, I will see how I feel about it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the perspective is.
Well, thank you all for joining me, as always. I appreciate you all dealing with an extra week of podcast for us to get caught back up. I think we got it under control. And see y'all next time. Another episode of Unlimited Railworks. Bye.
Right before the sunrise, one thing is on my mind. Need to take the stress and throw it all away. Feelings to discover, knowing undercover what it is you really mean to me.